Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this live stream session, your employment law live stream session to be exact. I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP, and I host this live stream session often to give you an opportunity to ask questions and find out all the information you need about employment law and workplace rights. Again, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. I'm one of the founding partners of the firm, and our firm, you'll find us with offices in Ontario, in BC, and in Alberta. And right here, right now, is your opportunity to pick my brain, to ask me questions, to keep me busy and keep me on my toes. And by the way, that's exactly what I want you to do. When I'm done this session, I want to be itching to get a glass of water because I'm out of breath because I've answered so many questions. That's what I want. You have that opportunity. If you're wondering about whether what your boss is doing is legal or not, ask it. If you're wondering about losing your job, what it means, and can you even lose your job, ask it. If your job is changing, your hours are being reduced, ask the question. Maybe you're not being accommodated with respect to your medical restrictions. All that and much more you can ask right now. Get some answers, get some guidance, and hopefully get some relief. Knowledge is relief. Knowledge is power. If you know what your rights are, you know how the law can help you, you will feel better. You will feel much more empowered. Again, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. There's a box on your screen. You can type up the question, hit enter, and it's just going to magically pop up on my screen, and I'll see it and I'll read it, and of course, I'll answer it. Before we get started with answering questions, I see some questions coming in. I want to give you some other contact information. To connect with me and my team, off live stream, off social media, to have a private exchange, very, very easy to do. All you do, see the address there, go to employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Phone number is right there. You can use that. Email address, you can use that. Fax machine, hey, we have that too if you really want that. All the contact information you can ever need is right there. And when you're there, if you take a few moments, you can even read more and learn a lot more about employment law and your rights that you have. So that's how you do it through employmentlawyer.ca. But right now, for the next 30 minutes, I'm here with you live, Lior Samfiru. That's me, the employment lawyer. And I think we should start answering some questions. As you listen to me answer questions, ask yours. Again, keep me busy, keep me on my toes. Let's see, Joe. Joe has our next question. Joe is joining us from Facebook. If my employment contract says that repeated sick days with no doctor's note will result in being written up and 2 write-ups is grounds for termination, is that legal? So first of all, if your employer really is asking for you to provide doctor's note, you should provide those doctor's note if it's reasonable. Listen, if you wake up one day and you have a cough and a sore throat and you have to miss work, but you're fine tomorrow, yeah, it's probably unreasonable for you to have to get a doctor's note. But for longer absences, it's reasonable for the employer to ask for a doctor's note. You cannot be fired because you had too many days where you had a cough, okay? It's not legal. You could be let go with your severance, but the being written up and being fired for cause, that's illegal. That's nonsense. That cannot happen. Because think about it. The whole point of being written up is to correct your behavior, right? Is to make sure that the behavior doesn't get repeated. Well, if you're sick, what are they trying to correct? Well, if we write you up, you'll stop being sick. Your immune system will know that, and they'll stop being sick. It's ridiculous, right? It's silly to be written up because you're sick. So if they do anything to you because you're sick, call me. I'll help you. But certainly, if you're going to be absent more than a day, it's a very, very good idea to get a doctor's note. The doctor's note, by the way, doesn't even have to say what your medical condition is, okay? All it has to say is that you can't work for medical reasons. That's it. Simple as that. So thank you for that question, Joe. Follow up, you know how to reach me, employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. And I hope you guys see how easy it is to ask a question. You could do that as well. And if you're just joining us, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP, live, right here, right now, answering your questions live. Ask them. Ask your workplace questions about employment law. Don't be bashful. Don't hesitate. What do you have to lose? You only have things to gain. Again, I'm going to continue answering questions. You ask yours. Aaron, also joining us from Facebook, has our next question. Let's see. I was hired as an independent contractor, but my company controls my schedule and workload. Could I be misclassified? Yeah, you're absolutely misclassified. And by the way, that's something that happens all the time. In fact, the majority of people, the vast majority of people that think that they're independent contractor have actually been misclassified, and they're really employees. If you work for one company, they tell you what to do, where to go, do your job. The next day you come back and do the same thing. You are an employee. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't matter what the company says you are. It doesn't matter what piece of paper you may have signed. You can't stop being an employee by signing something. Either you are or you aren't. And if you look like an employee and act like an employee, yeah, of course, you are an employee. A contractor is someone that's running a business. They have multiple clients. They go to different places. They decide where to work and how much to work and how much to charge. That's what a contractor is. If you have multiple clients, then you're a contractor. If you work for one company, yeah, you're likely an employee. So if you're an employee, what does that mean? Well, it means that you're owed vacation pay and overtime pay, statutory holiday pay. And it certainly also means that if you lose your job, you're owed your full severance. That severance can be as much as 24 months' pay. The company's going to think, oh, wait, we said you're a contractor, so we can let you go and pay you nothing because you're not an employee. Except you are. You've been misclassified, which means you are owed severance. So now you know, Aaron, you know what this means. Any issues, if you're not getting paid what you're owed, if you lose your job, we need to get you severance. Reach me through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca, place to go. So thank you for that. Great question. By the way, good start today. Good questions. I want your questions as well. You can reach me through employmentlawyer.ca after, but right now you don't need to do that. You can certainly just type your question on the box on the screen, hit enter, and I'll answer it for you. How easy is that? Doesn't get much easier. So we're going to continue answering some questions right now, and as you're asking yours, let's see. Devin has our next question. I was terminated without cause and offered a severance package, but they're giving me 48 hours to sign. Do I have to decide that quickly? That is one of the most common things that happen. You lose your job and your employer is giving you this, using this pressure tactic, give you a deadline. You better sign by Friday. Well, guess what? That deadline, that pressure tactic is meaningless. It's just there to try to pressure you so you can accept a bad deal. Your legal rights don't expire on Friday. In fact, they don't expire for 2 years. 2 years. I'm not saying you wait 2 years, but that deadline on Friday is silly. It's ridiculous. It's meaningless. So here's what happens, Devin. I can guarantee you, I haven't talked to you. I don't know what they've offered you, but I can guarantee you that what they've offered you is a lot less than what you're owed, a lot less. The reason I can say that with confidence is because that's what happens in 90% of cases. In 90% of cases, people are offered a lot less severance than what they're owed. So they're offering you less severance, and they're putting a deadline on it. So to accept a really crappy severance, you better sign this by Friday. Nonsense. Don't accept this by Friday or any other deadline. Let's talk. Let's make sure we get what you're owed. That deadline is not going to matter. It's not going to do anything. So if you lost your job, doesn't matter what you've been offered. Doesn't matter what deadline you've been given. And this is true for everyone. Let's talk. Call me right away, and let's make sure you get what you're owed. Okay? To reach me, of course, employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Fantastic. Great question. I love those questions. And you as well. If you're just joining now, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru, Tumarkin, LLP. I've been answering questions for the last 10 minutes or so. I'm going to continue answering questions. And of course, I want your question as well. You still have lots of time to ask your question, to get some answers. So you can do that right now. I wouldn't wait. Don't wait till the end of the session. Last week, I remember this correctly. 2 questions came in after I've already said my goodbye. So I didn't get to answer them. Don't let that happen to you. Just ask the question right now. Plenty of time. You get your answer. All right. Andrew, I think, has our next question. What's the length of a litigation process? Will I also be able to get a separate severance package for temporary layoff during COVID in 2020 beside my recent firing? So no, you're out of time for anything in 2020. There's a 2-year limitation period. In terms of the litigation process, our job is actually to avoid litigation. So our job is to resolve this without having to go to litigation. And probably 80%, 3/4 to 80% of matters, we don't even have to litigate. Okay. So that's the good news. We know what we're doing. Once a company hears from us, they don't want to litigate. They just want to resolve it. If we have to litigate, the average lifespan of a wrongful dismissal claim is about 3 to 4 months. That's the average lifespan. That doesn't mean it goes to court in 3 to 4 months. It's on average, that's how long it takes us to resolve it. So that's really what you need to know here. Don't be afraid of the litigation process. Don't be afraid of the legal process. If you lost your job, let's talk about it now. And no, unfortunately, we can't help you with respect to anything that happened in 2020. If you lost your job, then you're out of time. So thank you for that question, Andrew. And again, let's connect now. There's no reason we're not having a proper consultation right now. You can reach me and my team through employmentlawyer.ca, right there, employmentlawyer.ca. All right. You guys are awesome. I see a bunch of questions. I will get you, each of you, an answer. So stay tuned. All the answers are coming. And I'm, of course, Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. Next question is on Reddit, and it's from Grace. My employer is denying my request for accommodation. What qualifies as reasonable accommodation? So essentially what qualifies as reasonable accommodation is pretty much anything your doctor is saying you need. Modified duties, modified hours, change in work location, change in work shifts, whatever your doctor says you need, that's what the employer has to do. And they have to do that even if it's difficult. Even if there's a cost associated to your employer, they still have to do it. Now, at some point, the accommodation could be so over the top, so expensive that the company's not going to have to go that far. But that's extreme and that's rare. In the vast majority of cases, the accommodation that your doctor outlines for you is something your employer not only can do, they must do. They must provide it. So, Grace, if your employer is not accommodating you, we need to talk. Usually once they hear from me, all of a sudden, no, big misunderstanding. Of course, we're going to accommodate. And if they still refuse, that could be a human rights violation. That could be a constructive dismissal. So we need to talk about that. Always starts with the doctor's note and your doctor outlining what is the type of accommodation that you need. So get that note. And if they still want to accommodate, man, you need to call me right away. And Grace, to connect with me, employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. For those joining us for the next little while here, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP, one of the managing partners, one of the founding partners of the firm across Ontario, BC, and Alberta. And right now, I'm still here with you live. I see some questions have come in. I will answer them as well. But you as well. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. I think you've seen, I've given an answer to every single person. You can have your answer as well. So ask the question. You'll feel a lot better than you did. All right. Bro has our next question. How is severance calculated? Okay, nice and short. So how is severance calculated? Severance is based on several factors. The main factors are your age, your position, and the length of your employment. So the longer you work, the older you are, and the more senior a position you have, the greater the entitlements. So a lot of people believe, oh, I get a week per year or 2 weeks per year. No, nonsense, false, not at all. You could be owed 6 months per year. You could be owed 3 weeks per year. You could be owed 7.5. It's all based on those factors. So to find out how much severance you're owed, I'm going to give you two options. You can call me, I'll tell you, but you don't even need to. You can find out right now how much severance you're owed. So write this down. All you have to do is you have to go to pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. See that address right there, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca. And when you're there, just click on the severance calculator. That's it. Severance calculator. I think you kind of get the idea of what it does. It calculates your severance. Severance calculator, you're just going to answer some questions about your age, your length of employment, and the type of job that you had. And it's going to tell you and calculate for you how much severance you're owed. It can calculate that in number of months. It can calculate it in dollars. It's free. It's anonymous. There's no names, phone numbers, email addresses that you have to put in. You don't have to, no one's going to know you're there if you don't want them to. So it's probably the easiest way to you to find out. And so many people, when they use that, they're shocked to learn just how much they're owed. Close to 3 million Canadians have used it so far. Use it as well. And by the way, if you want to, and only if you want to, there's a button there you can press to connect with me from the severance calculator so that I can actually help you get that severance that you're owed. So again, pocketemploymentlawyer.ca, click on the severance calculator. You find out in 10 seconds how much you're owed. Thank you for that. By the way, one of the most common questions that I get is, what is my severance? Is my severance fair? How do I know how much severance I'm owed? That's why I created that severance calculator, because people should have the right to find out for themselves how much severance they're owed. So thank you for that. And by the way, you as well, we're getting into the second half of our session today. You still have plenty of time to ask questions. So ask them. Don't be bashful. Usually I get more questions in the second half because people are kind of hurrying up as the session is going to come to an end. But you have time. Guarantee you right now that if you ask a question about your workplace rights, you'll get an answer. All right. Let's see. Shanti has our next question. If I work for 5 years and ask to take voluntary layoff, is $14,000 the correct amount of severance? Well, first of all, I have no clue, right? Because I have no idea how much you make. I don't know if you make $10,000 a year or $110,000 a year. So I can't answer that. But here's what I will tell you. Severance doesn't really matter unless the company lets you go. So if it's one of those things where they tell you, hey, you can take a layoff or you can stay, the law really doesn't factor in because they're not forcing you to leave. They're not deciding that you're gone. So they could say, hey, you can stay or you can take a gold watch and leave. And if you want the gold watch, that's fine. The law is not going to intervene. Where the law comes in is when the company decides, hey, we've decided you're gone. Okay, we're letting you go. Then the company has to pay proper severance. Again, I wouldn't be able to tell you $14,000 is enough. You could be owed $114,000 because I don't know how much you're earning. But as I was saying to bro before, you can find out right now what is severance for you. Again, just go to pocketemploymentlawyer.ca and pocketemploymentlawyer.ca and use that severance calculator. Okay, it's free and you can find out in seconds how much you're owed. So thank you for that question, Shanti. You feel free also to ask a follow-up question. Same with all of you. If you want a follow-up question, you can ask it. Happy to answer it. There's no limit on the number of questions here. All right, let's continue. I think we should continue. By the way, Lior Samfiru, yeah, I know, that's me, the employment lawyer, live with you. Okay, Andrea has our next question. My supervisor has been verbally abusive, yelling at staff, throwing and breaking things. What should we do? How can we deal with this without losing our jobs? So first of all, it would be completely illegal for your employer to let you go in these circumstances. But here's what you do. And you could do this yourself, or you could do this with your colleagues as a group. But I want you to send something in writing, an email to HR, to whoever the owner, whoever the right person is at your company, telling them exactly what's been happening. So this supervisor, here's what he's doing. It happened on this date, that date. Provide as many particulars as possible and put it in writing. Once you do that, the company is under a legal obligation to look into it, to investigate it, and then to take measures to fix that problem. Whether that means telling this guy he can't do this or he's fired, maybe letting him go, maybe moving him to a different department, giving him better training, whatever it is that they need to do to fix this so that you don't have to work in that environment. We all have a right to work in an environment that's healthy, that's supportive. None of us should be working in a poisoned or an abusive work environment. Your employer has to do what I just said, and they cannot, absolutely not, let you go in the circumstances. Not only can they not let you go, they can't punish you in any way, and they have to deal with the issue. If you've done what I've said to you, if you sent that email and they ignore it, they don't do anything, call me, okay? I can then deal with them directly and help fix the issue. But as a first step, you want to send that email, again, in writing. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. And telling them exactly what happened. Try that. If there's any issues after that, I want you to reach out to me right away. Again, employmentlawyer.ca to do that. Employmentlawyer.ca. So check it out, use it. And hopefully that helps, Andrea. I'm sorry that you're dealing with that situation. All right. I see more questions have come in. You guys are awesome as usual. I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer. You still have time to ask your question. So I'm going to continue answering. Let's see. Tyler has our next question. I posted something on my personal social media and now my employer is disciplining me. Can they do that? Well, they can if whatever you posted can impact the workplace. So, give you an example. If you posted some racist comments and you can be identified as someone that works for this company, well, the company is going to care because that can make them look bad. It can impact your colleagues. So, yes, anything that you post on your personal social media could be fair game for discipline if it can impact your employer. Okay. It's not good enough to say, hey, it was my social media, so I can do whatever I want. Well, you can, but there could be consequences. Okay. And it's not enough for the employer to say, I'm not happy about that. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you posted on social media that you support the Liberal Party and your employer likes the Conservative Party. So your employer can't say, well, I don't like your political belief, so I'm going to discipline you. That's not good enough. But if you're saying something that can negatively impact the workplace, then yeah, that is fair game and you could potentially be disciplined for that. So always be mindful. If you don't want your employer to see what you're posting on social media, don't post it. As simple as that. All right, fantastic. You guys are great. Let's continue. I want to make sure I get to all the questions. By the way, even now, still last 10 minutes or so, you can still ask a question and you still will get an answer right here from me on this session. And if you're just joining, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer with Samfiru Tumarkin LLP. And let's get to answering some more questions. Catherine has our next question. We had a new manager start in my department. They've been trying to find every problem they can with me. I have had great work history before working with them. How can I protect myself? So the first thing you could do is if they criticize you, if you don't agree with it, I want you to send this manager an email, something in writing, it has to be in writing, saying, here's why I don't agree with it. You said I did this and that, but here's what you actually need to know, or here's why I think I did it okay. Put that in writing. If your employer says things to you or disciplines you and you don't respond, you can be considered to have accepted it. The other thing you can do is this. This is a form of bullying, okay? So your employer has an obligation to protect you from bullying. So you want to do what I was saying before to our previous individual. Send your HR manager, whoever the right person is at your company, an email telling them, here's what this manager is doing, here's how he's treating me, etc. And they have to investigate and deal with that and take it seriously, and they can't punish you, and they have to deal with it. So that's how you protect yourself, by doing those things. If anything happens to your job, I want you to call me, okay, right away. I want you to connect with me as soon as possible. If the boss lets you go, threatens to let you go, if HR gives you a hard time, I want you to connect with me immediately through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca, but that's what you do, and hopefully that gives you some guidance, Catherine. All right, great questions. Man, workplace issues are a big deal. We all have jobs. We spend more time at work doing our work chores than we do anything else. So it's so important that we understand what our rights are. The rights are there because the law makes it clear. If you're working, that's a big part of your life. You have protections, you have rights. All right, let's see. Continuing with questions. Kurt has our next question. Is it legal to be forced to an unpaid sick leave when asked to get a record for information from your doctor while on accommodation? Okay, let me read that again. I'm not sure I understand the question. Is it legal to be forced on an unpaid leave when asked to get a record for information from your doctor while on accommodation? So here's how I'm not sure I understand the question, but I'll answer it this way. Your employer doesn't get to decide if you go on a medical leave. Your doctor gets to decide that. So if your doctor says you can work with accommodation, they have to accommodate you. They don't get to say, well, you're just going to go on an unpaid leave. It's as simple as that. Unless it's impossible to accommodate you, they've tried and they just can't do it. The accommodation you need is so over the top, then they can say, hey, there's no choice but for you to go on leave. But if they can accommodate you, then they must accommodate you. And if they won't accommodate you, if they're putting you on a leave, you got to call me, okay, immediately. And you can do that. All the contact information you need is through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. Phone number is there, email address is there, everything you need is there to reach out to me. So please use it. All right, let's see. Last few questions. Again, I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer. Sitting Knitter has our next question. My current workplace contract says that my employer owns my intellectual property. I have been designing and developing patterns to put up for sale in my own time. Can my employer claim these? Well, generally speaking, your employment agreement would say that they own the intellectual property you create during the course of your employment, not that you create, on your own time. But I would have to see your employment agreement. If you've agreed to give them rights to all intellectual property, to anything you create always and ever, then that's a problem because you've agreed to it. It's very unlikely to be the case, but I need to see your employment agreement. Okay. Usually the employment agreement says that anything you create during the course of your employment, we, the company, own it, not you. So if that's all it says, then there's no problem. So I need to see your employment agreement. I can't say what your employment agreement does or doesn't do without seeing it. So if you want to send me a copy, you want to have a chat about that, you can connect with me through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. It has all the contact information that you need. All right, fantastic. You guys are awesome. By the way, even now, if you ask a question now, I think you can get it in under the wire. So if you're going to ask a question, now's the time. Don't wait anymore. So please do that. And I'll take the next question here, which is on Facebook. And this is from Nathan. My employer asked me to sign a new employment agreement. Should I? Easiest question to answer. Absolutely not. No. If you're already working, you have a job, you didn't just start a new job, and your employer comes to you and says, hey, we need you to sign a new employment agreement, that is bad news. Think about it. They would only do that because that new agreement that they want you to sign contains better terms for them than what you already have. You're better off not having an employment agreement or an older agreement. So please don't. That new agreement is a huge problem. It could take away future severance rights. It could give the company the right to put you on a temporary layoff, the right to change your job, your hours, your pay. No, you cannot and should not sign it. By the way, you can't be disciplined. You cannot be fired for cause if you say no, and you should say no. And sometimes your employer may say, hey, we'll be nice to you. If you sign this, we'll give you a $500 signing bonus, or we'll give you another 50 cents an hour. Still, don't do it. Not worth it. You could be losing tens and tens of thousands of dollars by signing, and they'll give you a $500 bonus or a Tim Hortons gift card. So please don't let that happen. Don't sign it. If you want me to review the agreement, you can reach me through employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. All right, I'm going to take one last question here. I see Michelle, you listened and you got your question in under the wire. Michelle has our next question. The company wants to change my shift to overnights. Let's see. I never worked this shift. They said they need to rebalance the teams. If my contract says they're allowed to make the changes, do I have to accept? So I'd want to see the contract. Generally speaking, they're not allowed to do that at all. But if you sign an employment agreement or contract that explicitly gives them that right, then they can do that. And if you refuse, that could potentially be a resignation. So the key is to see what your employment agreement says. Don't assume anything. Don't try to interpret it yourself. There's many ways to interpret an agreement and many ways where we can say that's not really what you think that it is. So the best advice I'm going to be able to give you here, Michelle, is send me a copy of that employment agreement. Because without that, they cannot do that. That would easily be a constructive dismissal. So let's see. So that's the time that we have for today. By the way, guys, if you want to continue the conversation, or for some reason, if you didn't get your question answered, you can reach me, Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer, just by going to employmentlawyer.ca. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. And when you go to employmentlawyer.ca, you can get my email address, my phone number, all the information that you want is right there. Okay, so you can go to employmentlawyer.ca to connect with me and my team. I'll be back here very soon, so will my colleagues, but you don't need to wait for me or my colleagues to be back. You can connect with us right away today if you want. Again, employmentlawyer.ca. I'm Lior Samfiru, the employment lawyer. Thank you so much for being here with me, for asking questions, for engaging, for wanting to learn about your workplace rights. I had a good time I'll continue the conversation with you soon. In the meantime, employmentlawyer.ca. Thanks, everyone, and take care.